Hi, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Melissa and this is my makeup channel. Today I will be doing this really cute fall look that I have going on, and I'll also be talking about mental health. It is World Mental Health Day today, Thursday, October 10th. This is when I'll be uploading the video. And yeah, I decided to share my mental health story in hopes that maybe it will help somebody, or if you know somebody with mental health and they need help relating to someone, maybe this video can help them. If you are interested in mental health or you like mental health talks, this is the video for you. You have come to the right place. And I don't do a lot of details of how I did my makeup, but I will leave everything down below. If you have any questions, leave a comment and I will try my best to answer them. So yeah, if you want to know how I did this look and you want to talk a little bit about mental health with me, just keep on watching. So I already primed my face. Gonna take some Fenty foundation. I forgot I had this one. I have one, but it's a lighter color. And this one's darker and I totally forgot about it, so this one might match me better. I'm actually really nervous about this video. I don't even know where to start. So about 2 years ago I fell into depression. I had just gone through some drastic events and changes in my life. At first I didn't know that I was depressed. I knew that I was feeling different, and I know usually we can read our bodies and we know how we feel, but this was a very different feeling from anything I had ever felt before. It was odd. It really started with me feeling like in some sort of like panic, like some crazy like fear. So I knew I was feeling off and I just couldn't point out what it was. I was feeling really emotional, like I would randomly cry and I was like, why am I crying? I'm just not like a crybaby type, or I used to not be. Even if I had reasons to cry, I would just not, because I just like to hide my feelings. It had been a few months. I knew I was feeling off, and I was actually at a family event, and my mom noticed that I was being different, and I knew I was because I was there at the party or the gathering with everyone, but I wasn't present. Like I felt like I was offloading somewhere. My body was there, but my mind, my spirit was like floating somewhere. And she noticed it and we had a conversation a few weeks later, and she said, hey, like, are you okay? Something seems very off with you. And I said, you know what, you're right, like something does seem off with me, but I just can't tell what it is. And she said, do you think you might be depressed? And I said, I don't think so. And then I just said, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Like, I don't know what it feels like to be depressed. I've never been depressed. Even though, you know, we have hard days and like tough times in life and we're like, oh, I feel depressed. Like, I've said that before I was depressed, and it's nothing to the feeling of depression. So I try not to say that anymore, because now it's like, wait, are you really? But yeah, she said, maybe you might be depressed. And I said, huh, like, okay. So we had that conversation. It had been a few weeks. I was like, no, like this can't be it. Like, me, like I'm depressed. Like this is not a thing. And I was really in denial about it, and like, because I'm like, I try to be really tough, a really tough person all the time. I don't show my emotions, only to the people that are really close to me. And I just kind of don't I didn't like to talk about things. If I was going through a rough time, I kept it to myself. So it was really weird for me. Anyways, after being in denial for a few weeks, I told my husband, I said, you know what, like, I think I need to talk to someone. I have been feeling very different. I was gonna say crazy, but I thought I was going crazy. I was like, why do I feel like so down, and like my mind was so like negative and dark, and I was just like, oh my goodness, what the heck is going on? And I said, I need help. Like, I need to talk to someone. Like, I can't do this by myself anymore. Like, I thought I was gonna be okay. I was gonna get over it, but I can't. Like, it just keeps getting worse every day. At the time, my husband was still in the service, and we were lucky enough to be able to go get help on base for anything that we needed. So he helped me by reaching out to one of the counselors on base, and I let them know a little bit of my situation and how I was feeling, and they were like, yep, definitely sounds like you're depressed, but we're not going to be able to help you here because your case sounds like you need a little bit more help. And I was like, great. So they just did like basic counseling there, nothing serious. So finally they were able to help me, and they gave me some numbers to call. And if you're going through, if you know somebody that's going through something and they're trying to get help, if there's any way that you can help them get help, do so. I really suggest you do so, because that was one of the toughest things, is that I was already, you know, super dark, in a super dark place, and like I had to take the time to call, like, and try to find someone to help me when I'm already having trouble getting out of bed, trouble brushing my hair, trouble getting in the shower, trouble just like moving anywhere out of my bed, out of my house. So then to call, and then like you have to be on hold, and then this person has to reach out to this person, like it's very frustrating, and like to the point where I like broke down and started crying because I couldn't find somebody, or they didn't fit my schedule. Luckily, the counselor on base, after I tried to finally get a hold of someone, the counselor on base, I told her I was having trouble getting through to someone. I was having trouble finding a therapist, and she said, okay, like, let me try helping you with this at another facility. And finally, I found my therapist, and I was in therapy for 8 months. It was life-changing, to say the least. In the beginning, it was very difficult because I had never gone to therapy and I did not know what to expect. I did really have to learn how it worked, because I think that most of the time when people say they don't like therapy, or they say it's not for them, is because they don't go and do the work as well. And that's something you really had to do, is put in the work, which is hard when, like I said, you're having trouble getting out of bed, having trouble doing the most basic things. But yeah, I was there for 8 months, and basically to describe the way I felt is, I always say that I felt like there was this dark gray cloud hovering over me, like at all times. And I was just like, dude, leave me alone. Like, it was crazy. I just felt lonely. I felt sad. I felt like, I felt numb. Like when the time was coming closer for me to finish my sessions, I was going weekly. I was going once a week, and then they started decreasing to every few weeks, and then every like 3 weeks, until eventually it was my last session, and I made it. I successfully made it, and I gave my therapist a huge hug, and I was like, thank you so much for everything. I really feel like I could not have gone through that chapter of my life without therapy. I had a great experience with it, and I highly encourage others to do so as well. If you're thinking about therapy, like, there's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with you going to therapy. You have to think of therapy as going to the doctor. When you don't feel good, you know, when something's hurting, you're like, oh, I think I need to go to the doctor and get checked. That's how you need to treat your mind as well. Treat it how you would treat any other medical concern you may have. I'm never going to forget that that happened to me, or that I got the experience to go to therapy with, and get lucky enough to my first person be a great therapist. I did forget to mention, now that I'm remembering, that the depression also triggered my anxiety. Yay! So that was really cute, having both of them together. Now I don't really, I feel like, do I feel like how I felt before? No, nothing close, and I hope I never ever feel that way again. But I do have some low days sometimes. It's not something that happens to me often, but I usually know how to get myself under control with all of the tools I learned in therapy and all of the self-care that I learned as well. One of the things that really stuck with me that I learned in therapy was journaling and meditation. Oops, sorry. It was journaling and meditation. That's something I still do today as part of self-care. Hi, how are you? Okay, sorry. I feel like I just needed to get closer to get the eyes going. Yeah, so like I said, what really stuck with me from therapy was learning to self-care and meditation. That's something I still do now. I'm not gonna tell you that I'm perfect and I meditate every day, I do self-care every day. I really slack on it sometimes, especially because, you know, I have a life like everybody else, and now that I'm a little bit controlled with my mental health, I like let it slack and don't work as hard as I should or could. But I definitely try to meditate. I definitely do try to meditate in the mornings. Or I try to check in with myself at work. I'll go and take walks during like lunchtime. During the day I'll take a break and I'll walk outside. And I just like don't look at my phone, don't look at anything, and just like try to just, you know, be present, be in the moment. My anxiety did trigger from the depression. There was also a time where I was super anxious to drive. I hated driving. I got so anxious. I was so scared every time I would get in the car. She also helped me practice mindfulness and to just be in the moment. And that really did help my anxiety for driving. And I also use it for everyday use as well, because it's really helpful. Working out has also been a great self-care tool for me. I've always been into fitness. I've loved working out. I love nutrition. I love all the health stuff. I would say me and Mario are pretty big health nuts. I mean, maybe not as much as other people, but we're pretty big on our health. Really, your diet and physical exercise are super important when it comes to mental health. I know that if I've gone weeks without the gym, it really affects me mentally. Even if I don't even go take my walks outside, it really does like put a toll on me. And I start feeling like really down. I start feeling more anxious than usual. With our eating as well, if we're not eating very great or we've been eating poorly, it does affect our mental state and it makes us feel a certain way. I mean, my husband and I, because he tries to go along with this as well, with being on top of like our nutrition and our physical activity. Yeah, those are a few of the things that I do or that we practice in our household a lot for self-care. You do have to keep in mind that not everybody has the same self-care routines, or what might work for me as self-care might not work for you. It really sucks that I had to go through a depression and feel all those like really low and negative feelings, but at the same time it's also a positive thing because it opened me up to more communication between my husband and I, especially because I hold everything in. I don't like to share how I'm feeling. I'm very reserved. So that definitely changed. I'm more open about my feelings. Only with him though. That's about it. And I also made some awesome friends that deal with the same mental health issues or similar. It's so nice having someone to relate to when it comes to mental health because there's still a stigma around it. I think especially in minority communities, so like in the Hispanic community, I know that there's a stigma because I feel like most, or like old school parenting is kind of like, get over it, you'll get over it, or like you have to be tough, you know, we don't really talk about our feelings. And that needs to stop because people are literally dying of depression, you know, and people think it's frowned upon to ask for help, and it's really not. So I was able to make friends, and it's crazy how life works because at the time, this certain friend came right into my life mid me going to therapy, and I had not been sharing that with anybody but my husband and my immediate family. So yeah, I met her right when I was in the middle of it, right in the thick of it. And I don't know, you know, sometimes you just have that feeling like I should share this with her. And I shared with her my situation, and then she told me that she deals with mental health as well because of things that have happened in her life. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I have somebody that feels like me, and like I'm not crazy. Like it is kind of sort of normal to not be normal, and it was awesome. And I've met some other friends similarly because of the same thing, you know. So yeah, it brought me closer to people, helped me share with people that it's okay to get help. I used to think that therapy, like, pfft, I would never spend my money for that, but it's one of those things that unless it happens to you or you're in the moment and you have to decide, it's just, you just decide. You make a choice, and something you gotta experience for yourself as well. I also did have an amazing support system. I only told this to like my very, very super close friends. My husband, obviously, who was amazing. It was a tough time, you know, for us. I mean, because my husband didn't know how to help me and he wanted to, and I was like, I don't even know how to help myself, man. I'm trying to figure it out too. And it was a tough time because we were just bumping heads. I wasn't communicating. He wanted to help me. And I finally had to just open up and break down. And it was a tough time, but it brought us so much closer. Ah! I hate this. It brought us so much closer than ever, and he really genuinely, oh my gosh. It brought us closer than ever, and he really genuinely is my best friend. Oops, sorry. I just get emotional talking about I get emotional talking about my husband because he was like my rock through this whole process. So it's hard to talk about. Oh God, a tear. I already knew. I was like, I'm probably gonna cry, but I was trying not to. Yeah, so my husband, my best friend, my rock through the whole process. He was amazing. It was very hard for us trying to figure out how we could help each other out during this tough time, and we did it, and we're stronger than ever and we're closer than ever. I really am a firm believer that everything happens for a reason, because after that I totally changed. I'm a totally different person. That's something I had trouble with, is that I kept wanting to go to the old Melissa, and I wasn't accepting that I would never be the same, that I would never be the same person after going through this. And I had to finally accept it. And I told my therapist, like, I'm thinking of like when I go back to old Melissa, when I go back to normal, and she was like, it's okay to now go back to your old self. Maybe this is a new self. Maybe this is like kind of like a rebirth, to do things different, you know, to be a different person. And that's just kind of how I look at it now, and I really feel like it has changed me for the better. And yeah, man, it really has changed me. I also had like the very few close friends that I told about, very close immediate family. Those were like the people that were there for me, and I appreciate them all so much. So having that support system was amazing, and having people not treat me different because something was wrong with me was the best thing. So yeah, I had a really nice support system. Without that support system, I would probably, I don't know what the heck. Imagine like people that are going through some type of mental health crisis and they have no one to talk to. They can't go to their family because their family's like, get over it. Like, oh, you're just being a pussy, sorry. You know, that's messed up, man. And I want to just spread awareness, man. And besides sharing my story, this is why I shared some of my self-care, some of the things I do for self-care, because I know they might help someone. You never know. And this also might help identify somebody to go get help. You know, sometimes people are too afraid because they're just scared of what people are going to think, or they think it's not going to work, or they've been on the edge about it. Maybe if they hear this video, they're going to be like, you know what? She's right. I should just go to therapy. I should get help. It's okay. It's alright. If you're feeling some way and you have somebody close to you, share it with them. You never know. They might be going through the same thing. I will say be careful who you share something with while you're going through your mental health, because there's still a stigma with mental health, with going to therapy, and people are sometimes insensitive about it. So really tell it to someone that you're really close with, someone that you know is open-minded and is gonna not have like a super negative reaction, because then that could possibly just bring you down more. From day one, I did mention to my therapist, I was like, I do not want any drugs. I don't want to take any antidepressants. I really just want to learn how to control my thoughts and how I can improve my way of life. But I just said I don't want it, simply because, and there's nothing bad with taking antidepressants. I just didn't even want the idea to be a possibility, because I really wanted to learn on my own. Just learn how to, you know, cope. Learn how to live with it without having to be on any medication. Which is why I mentioned in the last video about cannabis. That really helps my anxiety, helps me keep it under control. When we have CBD, I take it in the morning before my day starts, and it just helps me stay relaxed. I wouldn't say my life has gone back to normal. I don't think that would be the right term to say, but I do feel like I have more control and I have all of the necessary tools in order to succeed and fight any of my mental battles that I may be going through. I also found a lot of blogs about depression while I was going through it. I did a Google search, and like it was really nice to see, because at the time I wasn't telling anyone but my husband, and I didn't know how to I didn't know how to talk about my depression with people, because I was still learning how it was affecting me. So talking about it with someone else was really nerve-wracking, because I'm just like, how do I say when someone's asking me how you've been, and I've just said, oh well, you know, I've just been depressed. Like I was still learning how to have those conversations with people. I also referred to cannabis because when I was going through my difficult time, we would go out a lot with our friends, and I tried to leave the house so that I would, you know, just get out and get distracted and interact with people. But when we go out, we would drink, and I would drink quite a bit. I just wanted to numb myself. But then the next day I would feel terrible. Not like hungover, but emotionally and mentally just drained. Like I was so low the days after, because alcohol is a suppressant, and that's what it does. It's cool at the moment, you have a good time, but then the next day you feel like shit. So that would happen to me every time, and it was not a good combo. I was already depressed. I was drinking alcohol when we go out to numb myself, but the next day I would feel worse. And then I finally told my therapist, I was like, hey man, I was like, wow, with my friends, but I drink alcohol, and the next day I feel like freaking worse. Like I'm just like, oh my god, my therapy appointment couldn't come any sooner. I was just so crazy. And she was like, well, if you remember from school, alcohol is a depressant. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, you're right, I totally forgot. I really don't like to drink. I prefer to consume cannabis. I do drink from time to time, but I definitely know my limits. I'm not like, yeah, give me another drink, because I know how it's gonna make me feel, and I'm just traumatized at this point. If you are seeing somebody that's feeling low and drinking alcohol, keep an eye on them and be careful, because they might just be trying to numb themselves, but that just makes you feel so much worse. I'm gonna go ahead and add some highlight to my brow. It's just the white shade in the Blood Sugar palette. Okay, so I already added some eyelashes. I added a little bit of highlight in my inner corners from the Jaclyn Hill palette. I don't know if I mentioned that. But yeah, this is my fall look, my final fall look. Looks really cute. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that this video can help somebody. If you know somebody that's going through someone and like you think this video might help them, or it might help them like be like, hey, like I can relate, there's somebody that feels like me, please share this video. I hope that I'm able to break the stigma for some of you, and I hope that if you're watching this and you're thinking about going to therapy, or if you're going through something, this encourages you to talk to someone or go seek therapy. If you're thinking about trying cannabis for your mental health, I hope this encourages you. If you have any questions regarding this video, please feel free to message me, send me a DM. Last time I posted about mental health on my personal page, I actually got a lot of DMs from people, and it was really cool because they were like, hey, I'm so happy you shared that, like I've been feeling like this, like thank you for sharing. And this is the point of this video as well. I just hope everyone, and if you're unsure about mental health, if you're not very educated on it, I hope this helped you a bit. Do some more research. But whatever you do, don't be judgmental of people. You never know what someone is going through. You never know how somebody is feeling. You just don't know. So try to be sympathetic. Try to, you know, not just try to put yourself in those shoes. Don't be judgmental of people because they want to seek help or therapy, or because they're feeling a certain way. Don't tell people to get over it. Yeah, I just hope that this helps somebody, and I was so nervous to make this video. I thought I was gonna be bawling the whole time because every time I think about it, I obviously get really emotional. But I survived it, and I'm happy, and I hope that you really enjoyed this. This was very personal for me to do, even though I didn't share a lot of details. I just know that mental health is so important to me. It's so important in our household, and I just want to raise awareness, and I feel like I have something to say, and mental health is so important to me. I feel like I need to share it. People need someone they can relate to, and I hope they can relate to something with this video. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the mental health talk. Maybe we can do more mental health talks. And like always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing weekend.